Ashley and welcome to my space here. I am going to be doing the extended reading for my Tarot Tuesday weekly guidance and energy update. This is called Conscious Collaborations because, well, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and have you just clear your energy by taking a deep breath and calling upon your angels or your guides, or just setting an intention and making sure you're listening to your intuition above all else. And I also want to remind you that gender does not apply here. So when you come to the space, come with an open mind and an open heart. And like I was saying, with that being said, the first conscious collaborations was the Three of Pentacles is what I pulled for the week. So this is the extended reading. So if you are here because you read the blog, then thank you for reading. And if you just found this, then thank you for being here, thank you for watching, and it is important to remember that whenever you find this, it's meant for you. So open up, trust, and receive, and whatever does not resonate for you, you can just leave the rest. So take what applies and leave what does not. So for this week, I have pulled, which is on my Instagram. I also write a poem for that as well, so if you want to check out that, I'll leave the link below. Was the Three of Pentacles, which represents, the first thing I heard was teamwork makes the dream work, and that's funny because it's just a motto that I've heard for a really long time, since I was in high school. And okay, so working on sports teams, you know how you have to collaborate, you have to work together with one another, and that's what I was kind of picking up with this week's energy, is learning how to work well with others. Some of us may, I was picking up on wanting to be self-employed or have more freedom in your business life. More people are seeking more freedom in business. This idea that work is kind of even when I'm talking, even the energy when I tap into the collective energy feels really heavy. I'm carrying something on my back. So if I don't loosen up and play and have some fun, because what I pulled with the Three of Pentacles was children, and it says your connection with children is part of your life's purpose, which you can take that if that applies, but mostly what I was picking up on is I'm all about healing the inner child and connecting to the inner child, because I think it's our inner child that sees unity, it sees connection, it sees love, it sees beauty, it sees the wonder, the mystery of life. And I think that what we're really learning, the universe, because this is co-creation. The Three of Pentacles represents co-creation to me, working with the spirit, so working with the mind, body, and soul. And then when we learn to work together with our inner child, because that was I was picking up on some of you may have been have business ideas or creative projects or creative ideas that are going to require you to work with others, or maybe even with children is something I was picking up on as well. So when we reconnect when we reunite with our inner child, then we're able to work easily, especially with other children, or if you feel called to work with children in any way, in any capacity. Think it's just the divine mother feminine energy, and I just feel it's really strong right now. But teachers and coaches and healers and leaders, and really feeling called to lead the children, or if we have this, I'm feeling this really strong energy, these mother instincts of wanting to protect our children. And when I see children now, because I've reunited with my inner child, once you reunite with your inner child, you see all other people, you see their inner child. So you see their innocence, you see their purity, you see their goodness, and you see their beauty, and you see their value. And when we see that in ourselves, then that's what we'll project onto the world, and that's what will really change the world. So we have been taught by our society that to not value children, to not value their ideas, and maybe a lot of you had ideas as young children, and you expressed these ideas, and you were serious about them, and they meant so much to you, and you kept them really close to your heart, and maybe they were denied, or maybe they were mocked or laughed at, or just said, oh, that's just your imagination, or were never taken seriously, kind of. And so you kind of shame these, and I was just kind of picking up on the darkness, bring what's hidden in the dark, bring it forth now, is what it's saying. Is kind of what I was picking up when I just saw that darkness, and because it's our shadow selves, and a lot of us have our woundings, and our shadow selves are created in childhood. So anytime we were made fun of or mocked or put down in any way, we hid those places within us. We hid them in the darkness, and we're you're not allowed to come out anymore. I'm sorry, but you're not accepted here. You get made fun of here. You're not welcomed here. You don't feel like you belong here, so you stay in the dark. And then we put on this persona, we put on this mask, and then that keeps us from being intimate. This is intimacy. There's three people on this card, really connecting and collaborating with people. This is kind of because I was picking up on the collaborating with the ego self, the higher self, and now we've incorporated the emotional self, because the emotional self is our inner child. So when we reconnect with our emotions, what we're really connecting to is our inner child. And if our emotions are just like out of our control all day long, like we're gonna feel really unstable. We're not gonna be able to relate to others as well, because we're feeling imbalanced. We're feeling like we might have like negative thought patterns, or we're seeing only our lack. We're not seeing our power. We're feeling powerless. We're feeling helpless, and then like we'll project this onto other people, and we'll feel like helpless, or we'll feel like a victim, or like life is working against me. But really what we're learning how to do is when we reunite with the inner child accepts everything, because the inner child lives in the present moment. And so when you begin to come back to the present moment, then you just begin to accept everything for as it is, and you don't see anything that like something is happening to you. Nobody's triggering you emotionally. Nobody's doing anything towards you. Life is just happening, and you're observing it, and that's our inner child. Our inner child just observes. That's how we learn. That's how we adapt emotionally in our families. That's how we learn to survive. That's how we get through life, is through our emotions. But then somehow when we get older, we start to shove these emotions in the dark, because we are conditioned by our family and their responses to our emotions as like bad, or like not validated, or like seen as like punishable. And so then we start to punish ourselves. And I was actually picking up right away on this orange color. There's orange on both these cards, and I was picking up on the sacral chakra. And like a lot of us will form addictions when we don't have a healthy relationship with our emotions. The one thing that's going to happen is we're going to form an addiction to something. It doesn't matter what your addiction is, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's shopping, whether it's gambling, whatever, like whether it's any drugs, whatever your addiction is, like it's just because you don't know how to regulate your emotions. And a lot of our parents were not taught this, so it's not like we can like sit back and like blame our parents. What we have to see as inner children is like everything was happening that we experienced in childhood, whether we felt a victim to it or not, or whether it was shamed or not, like was all teaching us something. And that's the inner child. It's the forever student of life. And so it never sees something as, oh, this is happening to me. It uses it as a way to grow. It shifts its perspective. So we're just expanding as souls. And so when we have incarnated into this lifetime, and maybe we experience really hardship, especially in young childhood, or we experience a lot of like emotional neglect, or like emotional abandonment, or anything like that, like what we're really learning from the soul's perspective is how to be that caretaker for ourselves, how to step into our own power and reparent ourselves, and how to be our own. It's like sovereignty, like being your own authority, being your own vessel, your own being, like having power over your own vessel, like having control over your own emotions, having control over your perception makes you powerful. So when you can begin to perceive from this, like life is working for me, like the universe is always conspiring to help me, like if we can switch your perspective to like life is always happening to me and nothing ever works out, like what we have to do is believe that our dreams can come true. And like that's what the inner child does, is believe. So the inner child believes, and it trusts, and it receives signs and synchronicities. That's a big thing. People, you are receiving signs, you're receiving synchronicities like crazy. I know, because I'm receiving them as well. But like it's insane, like because the veil is so thin right now, especially with the full moon we just recently had. And the sacral chakra is also represented by creativity, and that's why I was picking up on the color orange. All the orange on this card, and I love it. There's just like, and there's this rose that's kind of like blossoming, and I feel intimacy, I feel tenderness, I feel like pleasure, and like closeness, and like openness and sharing. And that's what we need. Like I was picking up on the intimacy with the 3 people, and like being able to like be in a group of people, and like being able to share your truest self, your most authentic selves. And I think when we're denying our emotions and we're denying aspects of ourselves, that we're hiding parts of us. And so we don't always allow, because we fear closeness and we fear intimacy, because we fear that like from childhood things, like we weren't supported emotionally, or we weren't nurtured or cared for in the way that we were needed. And so we believe that love hurts, or love abandons me, or love leaves, or love is painful, or whatever, all those lies. And so we have to really retrain ourselves to like unconditionally love ourselves, because then when we unconditionally love ourselves, that's what we're going to project onto everyone. We're going to love them no matter what. We're going to look at their flaws, and we're going to love them. Like our children are going to have flaws. Our children are going to have like they're pure and perfect, of course, but they're like everyone has their flaws, and we have to begin to see those as a place of like uniqueness and beauty. And that's like the inner child, rather than seeing it like you have to shame that part of you, and you have to hide that part of you because you're different, or because you're weird, or you like to express yourself. Like, there was lots of children that wanted to, okay, like, America is just like, and I grew up in this kind of household too, where it's like, you have to conform, and like, you have to look a certain way, and like, you know, you have to set this certain image that people like perceive you a certain way, and this can really create issues like in adulthood of like putting on a mask, or like playing a role, like not being your true self. Like, it's just like you're just putting on a show for the outside, but you have no idea who you truly are on the inside. And this is where you would have a fear of intimacy. And intimacy is getting to know yourself, like being close to your own soul, being close to your own body. What are your body's needs? How does your body feel in each moment? Like, what makes you feel a certain way? What makes you feel good? What doesn't make you feel good? Like, really getting to know yourself. Like, what triggers you, and how can you manage those triggers? That's like parenting yourself. And like, how can I support myself emotionally? That's reparenting yourself. And when you begin to feel supported by your own self, then this is when you could, because this is like about asking for help too. So that's another thing that's coming up, is like it's safe to work together. Like, I know for some people, and I kind of struggle with this, is like feeling like you have to like just feeling overly independent. But this is more about interdependence. And like, independence could be like all the way to the other spectrum, where you don't allow yourself any help at all, and then you feel like overwhelmed, or like burdened, or like then you start to procrastinate. Or then there's like codependence, where you're like, you can't think for yourself, you can't feel for yourself, you can't, you know, do anything on your own. But interdependence is that middle ground, and like being able to, you know, work well with yourself and work well with others, and allowing yourself to receive help. And that's the inner child. You know, my dog, I don't know if you could hear that, but she just like, when she moves and lays over, she just kind of grunts. It's just so cute. She just did that though. Really being able to work together. Okay, so was kind of what I was picking up on, and being able to connect more to like trusting yourself, and trusting that like you can work together like in a tribe, and like have your role, and like be valued for your role. Like, you are meant to, like, because I kind of see this little girl, she's kind of just like, I don't know, the colors orange or pink maybe like symbols for you, or roses might be something to connect to. I just feel this like tenderness, this blossoming, this opening, like really returning to your innocence, returning to this place of feeling at home, feeling it safe within yourself, like being able to express your emotions. You know, like a lot of us were taught to like shame our emotions, or we like villainize our emotions, or we're like, I don't know, we just don't have a healthy, and like the color orange reminds me of relationships, like because I'm thinking of the sacral chakra once again as like wanting more like closeness in our relationships. But if we didn't have that in childhood, if that's something like our parents couldn't give us, was closeness, like and intimacy, it's going to be something that we struggle with in our adult relationships. But I know for most any human, like intimacy is the one thing that we all desire and we all crave. Like, we desire to have this like deep connection to one another, and it doesn't mean we have to have it with everybody we come in contact with, of course not, but it's like can we work closely with others together? And there's only 3 people in this card, so that could be like more like, it could be like friendships, letting your friends help you, like letting your friends know how you're feeling, or like allowing them to support you emotionally. Like that's a good way. But it's like, also, you can't dump your stuff on your friends. You have to also ask them, like, is it okay? Can you hold this space for me right now? Like, are you emotionally okay that you could support me in this? Like, that would be like a way for asking for help emotionally. Like, hey, I need to speak to you. Like, I want to tell you my feelings and how things are going for me, but are you in a space where you can receive that, where you can hold the space for me? And for me, I know it's important. Like, I don't necessarily need anyone's advice, and I don't need anyone's like, you know, like what they went through. All I need is just to like be heard. And I think that's the inner child too, and what we're all learning is that like we have a voice. We are safe to be heard, and collectively, man, we have a voice. And I think I just want to say this because I thought it was a pretty good observation from my inner child here. But like the mask that we all wear, like one of the things I hate is that you can't see people's faces, like you can't see their smile. That's so, and I think, okay, and I was talking about intimacy, and I think that the like pandemic and the self-isolation and social distancing and like being 6 feet apart is like the biggest fucking red flag America has ever received about like their fears of intimacy and like how scared we are to like be close to one another. That like we've created this, and like we've created it unconsciously, of course, but now it's showing up as like this, we can't be close to each other, like we can't see each other's smiles, and our, you know, like we can't communicate, we can't talk. And that's like literally how we, you know, are going to make differences in the world, is by like collaborating, by working together, by using our voice and communicating. and feeling like safe to be heard, feeling safe to be seen. Like, we are safe to take up space here, and sometimes it's so hard for me to believe that. Like, even fears of like being seen, or like even doing this recording, like I have to I have to take some time, and I have to like anchor my body and ground myself. And like, you could be connecting to nature, because I was picking up on the roses and the butterfly, to like be able to ground yourself so that you can feel safe in your body, like that it's safe for you to take up space. And I know, like, even just like a lot of women may struggle with this. Like, I was picking up on the sacral chakra and like this victimization, and a lot of us have been like victimized, and it's like we have to learn how to or like shamed. Our sexuality has been shamed for centuries, and so we hide this part of us, or we think this part of us is bad or sinful or shameful or like inappropriate or indecent. I mean, heck, even our breasts, like if we have like, if we were to show our nipples, or if we walk down the street with a shirt off, like we could literally get arrested for indecent exposure, or at least get like a ticket or something. Like it's illegal for us to share our nipples, but not for men. Like, that's shaming our breasts, and it's like, why? Anyway, whole nother subject, but that's part of like bringing that stuff, like bringing like sexuality. It shouldn't be shamed so much, and like we shame when we talk to like children. We don't allow this is what I was picking up. We don't allow them to explore their sensuality and their sexuality. Like, if you were denied exploration of your body, like as a child, like, you don't really know yourself that well, so you have to really learn how to like incorporate sensual practices into your daily routine and your self-care routine, and like spend time getting to know what makes you feel good. Like, intuitive eating is really good for that, or like sensual dance, or like aromatherapy, like burning different candles, trying new foods, like expressing yourself through art and creativity, and like like making art, creating with your words, like because like this sacral chakra is our sexuality, but it's also our creativity. And if you think about our inner child is the creative. So we've been taught through our society that like the child is not valuable, like women and children aren't valuable, and so we've disconnected from our emotions, which would be our very feminine aspect, and we've disconnected from our inner child, which is our like lightheartedness and our playfulness and our hope and our optimism and our unity and our love and our forgiveness and our acceptance and our presence. That's our inner child, and we forego the innocence, we forego the inner child, we forego the women, or like masculine only, and people are flipping burnt out, like they're tired, they're struggling mentally, like they're struggling physically, like psychologically, emotionally, and we have to be able to learn how to stop denying our emotions and start to express them through our creativity, express them through our self-expression, like stop hiding parts of ourselves. And when we stop hiding parts of ourselves, then we feel whole, and we don't need to be completed by anything externally, because we have to stop spending so much freaking money on just in general, so that we can slow down on our consumption as a society, mostly because we're consumerists, and really get back to the present moment and what matters most, and how little do you actually need to make you happy. You don't need a lot of things. And you see they're kind of like cleaning here and like downsizing. I don't know, that's what came to my mind, is downsizing. So a lot of people have been taught that like the more the better, like the more the merrier. That's not always true, and this could be like, you don't need like a big tribe of people. Like, a lot of us have this idea like we don't have a lot of friends and we're like a loser or something, but it's like, if you have a few close friends, and consider yourself very fortunate, like see your abundance, see your give gratitude, give thanks for the community that you do have. This could be community, like this could be working in a community, or like community center with children. I have so many messages that are coming through kind of with this message, or so many different messages. Like, there's parents that have children that are have spiritual gifts, and they're actually meant to awaken their parents' spiritual gifts. They're like people that are starting businesses that are going to be based in products for children, or providing services for children, and this is going to require you to work together, and this is why it's important to learn how to communicate and work closely with other people, and connect to your intimacy, connect to your sense of self and your sensuality, get to know yourself really closely and deeply, so that when you can work with other people, you can really express that in the physical world. Okay, so I am going to get going on now to what we're not seeing clearly for this week. So, yeah, lots of messages coming through there. So take what applies. You could also have children in spirit that are guiding you, that are teaching you from spirit. You could also just have children that are suffering emotionally, and you're trying to find resources or tools to help them. You could have children that are just very like telepathic, very sensitive, or like I said, kind of gifted. Or there's people that are concerned about their children's mental health. And really, if we see that our child is struggling mentally, we have to really begin to look at ourselves and be like, okay, why does this person feel so unstable? Where within myself do I feel unstable? Am I part of the reason why this child feels unstable? And how can I make them feel safer? How can I connect to them more deeply and more closely, which is the intimacy? How can I connect more deeply and closely to my child so it feels safe, so it feels seen, so it feels heard and accepted and valued and appreciated by me? Like, I don't think we appreciate our kids enough. We kind of take them for granted. They're just there every day, and especially if we're not in the mindset. And it's like conscious parenting. Like, a lot of people are having children and like sex. I was thinking of the sacral chakra, and like they're having unconscious sex, which just means, people just have sex, one, just to get pregnant, and two, a lot of people are just having sex to gratify their egos. A lot of people do it because they're addicted to it. A lot of people do it because they have low self-esteem or low self-worth, and it's like, when you can really begin to channel this creativity and this sexual energy in a way that's healthy, then you can begin to relate to yourself in a better way, and you're no longer like wanting to abuse certain parts of yourself, especially your sexuality. If you want to abuse your sexuality in adulthood, like just look at where you were taught to maybe shame your sexuality or shame your sensuality in childhood, and then reparent yourself by really connecting to your sensuality, touching your body in an intimate way, like taking baths, like just like getting really in tune to yourself, like massaging yourself. Self-massage is great for that. Trying new clothes and wearing clothes that make you feel good, wearing clothes that express more of who you are, like even if it's different or it looks weird or it's not something you're used to wearing or something you've identified yourself with. Like, how can you be more open and expressive is kind of the energy I'm getting there. Because I heard also, that was from my blog post, is the world is your oyster. So I felt like this opening, like kind of like with the flower, I guess there's this energy of the opening and like softening and accepting. And when we can come to a place of acceptance within ourselves, and we can accept everything that's happening outside of us, like we get into this tornado, have you heard of like the eye of the storm? Twister. I love the movie Twister, and I saw it's on Netflix, so definitely watch that. If you've never seen it, definitely watch it because you're missing out. And two, it's always a great one to rewatch, especially this time of year. So anyway, you get into the eye of the storm, in the tornado, and it's like silent and it's like peaceful in the center, but there's like chaos whipping around you, like a hurricane or a tornado. And that's exactly what happens when you come into a state of acceptance and you're in this state of receptivity, because a child's natural state is receptivity. They're in a constant state of presence, and they're connected to, because a lot of us have fears of being like, we were neglected emotionally, or we were like, I'm getting like just like neglected, like you felt really lonely in childhood. So this creates this fear, like I'm gonna be alone forever, and then this gets us into relationships that are really unhealthy, because we're just playing out the same dynamic of like what our parents did to us. Like if they emotionally neglected us and we feel like we're gonna be alone forever, then that's what we're gonna connect with somebody who's maybe we're in a physical relationship with, but we're not connecting emotionally, and we still feel alone, but we're in a relationship. Those kind of relationships where you feel alone, but you're in a relationship. So you might as well be alone, because when you're actually alone, you should feel this sense of deep connection to all that is. And that's kind of what we're coming back to as we connect more to our joys and our passions. Like if we stopped like putting so much effort into making our lives look a certain way by doing the tasks and doing the things we've been told to do our entire lives, and we started to live for our own joy, and we started to live for our own happiness, and what brought us peace, and what brought us a sense of acceptance, and what brought us a sense of love and connection, if we started doing those things, then we will become them. We can't just expect them to come from another person. Like once this person comes, then I'm going to feel all this passion, or once this person comes, then I'm going to feel all this like joy and all this love. And it's like you have to start creating it. And that's kind of the whole thing, is co-creation. And that's the Three of Pentacles, is co-creation. So Spirit is saying, start doing what makes you happy. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Was we always want, like, wait till the external changes, wait till an outside condition changes, wait till this person changes, wait till this happens, and this happens, and this happens. And then we're waiting our whole lives. But you know how children, they kind of, like, take risks? They're a little bit risky. but sometimes they can be taught to be very like timid. I know I was like, but when we don't teach our children how to do hard things, or to do things that scare them, and coach them through it and guide them through it and encourage them through that, and like, you know, encouraging them to do that, but also saying like, I'm right here for you, like, you have my support, you know, like if we were teaching our children how to do hard things, like then when they would meet obstacles in their adult life, they wouldn't like get derailed and like depend on drugs or depend on people or depend on unhealthy relationships, and they would really know how to stand up for themselves, and they would know how to assert themselves, they would know how to you know, be more self-aware. So I think that's what we're really learning how to do, is teach our children how to be self-aware. How can you be aware of your emotions? How are you feeling right now? How can you be aware of your thoughts? What are you thinking right now? Like, what's on your mind? Like, where are you at mentally? Like, checking in with our children mentally is really important, I think. And like, hey, what are you thinking? Or like, because our children have so many thoughts and so many ideas that run through them all day. Like, okay, so as a creative and as a sensitive, somebody who's highly emotional, this is how I want to tell you it works for me. So what happens for me is, because I'm highly sensitive and I'm picking up and I'm being connected to my environment. So right now, like, I don't operate not necessarily logically by like time and what I'm physically doing, but I'm observing. Like, for me, I always go right to nature. Like right now I'm connected to the grass, and like I'm connecting to how I'm feeling. So am I feeling like warm? Am I feeling tension in my body? How am I feeling? And then like am I feeling excitement? Am I feeling joy? And like, what happens is you move throughout the day as a sensitive person, and certain things, the way they look will evoke, or like certain things will evoke emotion within you. And so as a highly sensitive, what we're doing is we're just deciphering the emotion, and whatever feeling we experience, and whatever we've identified that feeling as, whether we've labeled that feeling as good or bad, gets triggered within us. Like maybe we felt peace at one time, but then we were surrounded by a lot of drama, so we don't believe that peace is a good feeling. We believe chaos is normal. And so like, if we do something that evokes a feeling of peace, then how can we learn to do more of that? So if you haven't felt a lot of peace in your life, but that's something you're wanting to cultivate, you have to begin to notice when you feel peace, when you begin to resist the peace because you aren't used to it, because you think it's bad, or you think that it's not acceptable for you, or you're not allowed to be at peace. You know, you have to sit with the peace, and you have to sit with the discomfort of wanting to distract yourself with whatever addiction or whatever little like to-do list you have to do, and really being present with yourself, because that's what it's all about, is coming back to presence. And that's the inner child too. Woo, so much information, guys. Okay, geez. All right, lastly, not lastly, I haven't even got to what we're not seeing clearly right now. What are we not seeing clearly right now, Spirit? Okay, yes, Knight of Swords. So this is exactly it. So what happens when we don't feel our emotions is we want to control. We want to control our environments. We want to control how people see us. We want to control our image. We want to control everything. We want to control our finances. We want to control... this is just like wanting to rush forward and wanting to be in control, kind of. And that's what we're not seeing clearly. That's what we're healing. So we weren't taught to like emotionally regulate ourselves, and if we were taught that chaos was more normal, then we're going to constantly seek out ways to control, so that we can unconsciously create resistance, so that we can get that dose of drama that we're so used to receiving as love. A lot of people think that drama is love, and so if we tend to like rush forward, it's coming from this place of wanting to like either control. I just kind of get this control with it's like impulsive. So like, rather than like acting from your impulses, acting more from your instincts, and really learning to differentiate between the two of your instincts and your impulses. And like not acting so harshly, but really learning how to become, like I was saying, self-aware and present, and act from a place of like innocence or unity, kind of like the inner child. Like, instead of reacting from your wounds, like you're reacting from your from a state of acceptance, which says, my wounds are not who I am. They're something I've experienced, and something that have taught me how to, connect more deeply to my own spirit and how to be my own supporter, how to be my own caretaker, and really seeing it from a place of like, oh, I really do have power. Like, I have power. Like, I have the ability to create the reality I desire by shifting my perspective and believing that I am worthy of receiving help. I am worthy of receiving intimacy. I'm worthy of receiving closeness and openness. Okay, what are we not seeing clearly with the Knight of Swords? What's he rushing towards? Okay, we got winter. The answers to your prayers and affirmations are fully realized in the winter months. So to me, this is kind of a card. Okay, whenever I see this, this could be a timing question for you, so take what resonates, but also what this means to me is like a state of contemplation. Like the winter, we kind of go into this contemplation state. There's not a lot of action. It's still. And that's like the total opposite of the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is like, let me fucking rush in and, go to town. And the winter card is saying, like, this is the opposite energy I'm picking up on. It's like, be still, be receptive, be open to, like, I'm just getting to pray. This says the answer to your prayers and affirmations are fully realized in the winter months. So when you go into silence, when you go into solitude, that's when all your answers, that's when you receive all your answers. And that's the inner child. That's what I was saying, is in a state of receptivity at all times. It's just constantly observing the environment, and from the environment, it's deciphering, feeling through logic as well, like what we've been taught. Like what certain emotions are. Like if we're feeling sad, if we're feeling angry, and being able to identify those emotions throughout the day will help you stay at a lot more balance, and we're not acting so much from like impulses or from our wounds, but we're acting from this place of regulation. It's really about regulating the nervous system. And actually, as I'm tapping into the energy, it feels like not emotionally regulating. Like it just feels like the nervous system just feels shot. Like I'm picking up on like a collective nervous system. That's what it feels like. And it's like it just feels like completely overstimulated. So that's another thing with our children, can kind of get overstimulated, and that's our own inner child. If we're interacting with people too much, and it's summertime, so we're we are collaborating, we're getting out and we're socializing, and maybe we're collaborating and whatever, we're getting together, we're doing get-togethers, even though there is the social distancing and all that. So that's all kind of confusing right now. It's like, it's kind of like this restrictive energy kind of that's happening within us right now as like just the human like species right now. It's just like our energy is just being updated collectively. So it's like we're experiencing this like friction. But there's this card I have in this other deck that's like when you smooth two rough edges together, or when you rub two rough edges together, eventually it becomes smooth. So the card is called friction, and it's like allow something to be created or shaped or molded from this friction. And that's kind of the energy I'm picking up. It's like these two, like there's this present energy, like being still, being present, being receptive, which is totally the winter card. And then it's like this opposite energy of like rushing in and like impulsively moving. And it's just like, it's like an aggressive energy. This is like not very, very nice energy kind of. It's not that it's mean, it's just kind of harsh and aggressive, and just like, it's just like this energy of even people communicating at you harshly. So it's really important to observe your own inner dialogue. And if you speak to yourself really harshly, if you're really negative toward yourself, if you're really hard on yourself, it's going to show up through other people like saying it to you as a way for you to wake up and say, hey, why am I being spoke to like this? And then you'll see, oh, well, that's because that's how I was spoken to in childhood, and that's what my inner voice has become, and now I talk to myself very demeaning and rude. So how can I take back control of my own power, take back, like, it's like that sovereignty and being able to like be your own authority and being your own parent. And how can I teach myself how to communicate better? How can I teach myself to communicate with love and honesty and clarity and confidence? Yeah, rather than like relating and communicating from this place of harshness. Or it's like taking accountability too for like your own inner dialogue. You, like, if other people are talking to you like that, yeah, that's not that cool either. But it's like, if you can own your responsibility by, walking away, or own your responsibility by doing the inner work to shift your own inner dialogue, and watch as like you because what happens is you begin to communicate to yourself differently. And then once you begin to communicate to yourself differently, you begin to communicate in a new way. And you communicate more in this gentle way, more in this lighthearted way, more in this nurturing way, more in this loving way, because you've connected to your inner child, you've connected to your inner mother, and you're talking to yourself kindly now. Like, maybe your mother talked to you really harshly, or just like called you names or put you down, and then that becomes your inner voice, and maybe you're constantly putting yourself down inside your head all day long. And in order to numb those voices, you distract yourself with being on social media, or you distract yourself with watching TV, or you distract yourself with eating, or you distract yourself with smoking cigarettes, or whatever, like it's a constant like cycle. So then when we can stop talking to ourselves so harshly, and we can, instead of going to that addiction to numb the voices of like disapproval, or numb the voices of whatever negativity, then instead of like going to the food to like distract ourselves, what we do is we learn to cope in new ways. And that's when we reparent ourselves. Where can I maybe go write my journal, or where can I maybe write a poem, or where can I do a meditation, or where can I do some yoga, or maybe I can do some exercise, or maybe I can dance, or maybe I can sing, or maybe I can just jump around and be goofy, or maybe I'll watch a kids movie, like where can I learn to cope in a healthy way, instead of going to my distraction and not dealing with the root of the problem, which will just continue to show up over and over and over again into your life until you integrate the emotion. And every emotion you have is like your own little child. So every time you have an emotion, instead of like abandoning it and saying like, I don't want to deal with you right now, welcome it in and be like, how can I be of service to you? How can I help you? That's kind of like the Three of Pentacles. But if we weren't taught how to like ask for help, or and we were more in like codependent relationships with our parents, where it was more like imbalanced, and like then we'll struggle to believe that we're worthy of help, and so it'll feel really uncomfortable to actually receive help. And so what we have to do is learn how to allow in that space when it feels really uncomfortable, and when you're sitting with those emotions that don't feel good, and they make you want to eat, or they make you want to run away, or they make you want to check your phone, or they make you want to, instead of avoiding them, be like, hey, maybe you need to cry, maybe you need to stomp, maybe you need to scream into a pillow, maybe you need to punch a pillow, maybe you need to take a bat and swing it, maybe you need to like go for a run, or maybe you need to, I don't know, there's so many different things you could do, there's so many different things, so many different outlets and that's when you get to really know your inner child. What does my inner child like to do? And then start doing that, and then you'll feel more joy. And then you won't have to feel the need to control. Because we only want to control when we are like, we wish things were different, or we're not accepting. Remember how I said acceptance is like when you're around the tornado and everything's falling apart, you're at the eye of the storm. That's when you're in the energy of acceptance, and your acceptance is your power, because nothing can fuck with you. You're indestructible, emotionally especially, psychologically even more. Like you should not allow people to mess with your feelings, or to mess with your own self-perception. That's psychological abuse. Is when somebody distorts your self-perception. It makes you believe like just things that aren't true about yourself. So anyway, if you're being psychologically abused or emotionally abused, then please remove yourself from that situation, please. And if not, if you need support, reach out. I'll leave my email address below, so if that's something you're experiencing, because that can really take a toll on our ability to move forward and actually get ourselves out of those situations. And a lot of us, maybe we don't even know we're being emotionally abused, so you can kind of like look into that and see if that's something that like you're being affected by. So anyway, we're gonna get what is so once we come back to acceptance, we're no longer controlling the situation. We're no longer trying to control our lives or how people see us. We're opening up to like the entire range and the entire spectrum. Sorry if you can hear the lawnmower over there. I don't know, or if you're having trouble hearing me, I'm sorry for that. But one of my favorite things, actually, I'm kind of getting jumpy and all over the place, but coming back to acceptance is what will, help us with our control issues. And then we're no longer trying to like control people in our relationships, because the first thing you're going to do if you try to control a man is you're going to push him away. So it's like, the more you try to like make him be who you want him to be, or like you're constantly like nitpicking him to do this or do that, or like that's just gonna create more resistance. So it's more just about when you're in acceptance and you're accepting yourself, and you no longer think that you need to be fixed, or you need to be healed, or you need to be saved, or you need to be loved, and you're just accepting that you are loved, that you're enough as you are, then that's how you'll see your partner. If you don't see your partner as good enough, then that's because that's what you feel within yourself, and they're just your mirror. So when you look at them and you pick out everything you don't like about them, it's something you can work on within yourself. And as you improve it within yourself, it'll either begin to reflect in the relationship, and you'll be like the leader, like you'll set the tone for the relationship, or the relationship will fizzle out and diffuse. It's like, so you can't wait for them to change. You have to be the one, like, oh, I don't like this about my partner. Okay, where can I see this within myself? Work on it within myself, and then maybe I won't project that onto them anymore. And actually, maybe I'm creating things that don't even exist within this person just because I'm not accepting my own shadow. And then we create fights, or we create like disharmony or arguments in our relationships, because what we're actually doing is we're unconsciously sabotaging intimacy and closeness because we don't feel worthy of it. And so we'll act out as a child, and instead of like getting closer, we like argue, or we yell, or we create drama or chaos, rather than acceptance and approval within our own self. Like, because we're looking for somebody else to validate us. So it's like you have to learn to validate yourself. What is your advice for us right now? Too many fell out. What is your advice for us, Spirit? Okay, 6 of Pentacles. So this is a card of like balance to me. It's a card of like generosity is the word that I hear. So it feels like this energy of like, because like they're beggars on the card. So it's like coming out of this energy of like begging and believing that like you don't have to beg for love, you don't have to beg for connection, you don't have to beg for closeness. Like all you have to do is create it within yourself. Become close to yourself. Become loving towards yourself. Become, like be your own lover kind of, and as you do that, like you see he has a balance there. It's like this scale, or it's a scale, right? Or a balance. Maybe it's the same thing, but they'll balance out, and they are balanced in this picture. And it's like a card of giving and receiving. You see how he's giving like change or something, coins to that person. So it's like equal give and take in relationships. And what happens most often is when we're neglected in childhood, especially emotionally, and we begin to abandon ourselves emotionally, and we don't take care of our own needs. What we'll seek out later in relationships is that same dynamic within our parents, and we'll overgive and never receive, and then we feel really like burdened, or we feel like this huge responsibility, or we just feel resentment because we're giving so much love but we're not getting anything in return, and like we're giving so much but we're not getting it in return. So it's really learning how to create this balance within yourself that allows for you to know who you are, but you don't have to go like looking for it. Like everything you need is already within you, and that's kind of like the Winter card to me as well. It's like when you're in this stillness, and like your inner child has all the answers you need, because your inner child is also present. So when you come back to the present moment, that's when you receive all your answers. That's when you receive the guidance. That's when you receive the help, and that help could be from spirit, especially if this is like asking you, because I was picking up on meditation with the Winter card, like tapping more into the stillness. And when we do things that bring us joy, that's a form of meditation. When we do things that bring us peace, that's a form of meditation. So like I was saying, like do the things that make you happy, do the things that bring you peace and joy and love. The more you do those things, the more you balance this energy within yourself. And this is the physical plane, so it's like you'll be receiving equal exchange in the material world from other people. So like where you once like had fears of maybe betrayal or fears of abandonment, and you may have wanted to project that onto relationships. Now what you're doing is learning how to create it on your own, and then you just feel this harmony within yourself that allows for you to generate more harmony in the external world, whether it be in relationships, whether it be with finances or money, or whether it be in your homes, or whether it be at work, whatever it is, or whether it be with your health. Like as you begin to balance your life, especially balance more like the stillness and receptivity, and then being more in your inner child energy, because like the inner child is really generous. So the inner child wants to give and give and give, because it's endless. It has this endless supply, because it's constantly connected to the divine. It's constantly connected to the sacral chakra, which is our creativity, which is our source, which is our life force energy. It's our vitality. So it's our abundance. It's our gratitude. It's that energy that makes you feel endless and unlimited. And this is like And I love because there's a unicorn on this card, and like unicorn represents innocence, and it represents to me it always represents like unlimited potential. Like you are limitless. Like remind yourself that you are limitless, and that you can have everything that you want and need. It's always supplied to you. Like you have to believe that you're kind of like supplied for, but your supply doesn't come from the material world first. First, your supply comes from your connection to your inner child, to your life force energy, to your creativity, to your sexual energy. When you're connected to your sexual energy, you're also connected to your spirit. Because, like if you in the tarot deck, the spirit card is represented by like wands. Like here's the Knight of Wands, and this is like our sexual energy, but it's also our creative energy. It's our life force. So that's the part of us that's always connected to the divine. And when we begin to like have a more healthy relationship with that part of ourselves, then that's what we're going to attract in the material world. So, alright, whoops. Okay, well I didn't know what was under the deck, but I just went to this one now, and it's temperance. So I love that because we're talking about emotional balance, emotional regulation. This is, yeah, I love, but you might have like a guardian angel looking after you or protecting you, especially if you're feeling kind of like chaotic. This also represents Sagittarius, if that's a message for you. We got the Pentacles mostly, so that represents Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, and we just had a Capricorn full moon. And then the swords represent air, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Alright, let's get a clarifier for this Six of Pentacles. But yeah, it's like this giving and receiving. Like, as you begin to balance and you begin to give more to yourself, like give yourself this joy, guys. Give yourself this love. If you give more to yourself, you're going to receive more. You know, we have to learn, and like the feminine energy, she wants more and more and more and more, and she can create so much space within her. She's expanding universes. Like her womb is literally a portal. There's so many different universes, and it just opens, and you can expand more, and you can expand more. You can always have more joy in your life. You can always have more love in your life. You can always have more peace in your life. Always. Always, always, always. The capacity of more. You can always have more money in your life if you can believe that. That's one thing I'm struggling with, guys, and that's one thing that, like, and this could be about finances as well, but it's like believing, like, especially that our inner child is valuable, that our inner child can create stability, our inner child can create prosperity. And I think that's really important to believe that, because that's our inner child that has that unlimited belief, that unlimited potential, and that when we believe that, that's what we'll see in our external world, that's what we'll perceive, and then that's what we will receive. That was in my last week's post. So kind of like an extension of like learning to work together. But now we've incorporated, last time we had the ego self and the higher self, and this time we have the emotional self. So it's like all three working together, mind, body, and spirit, to create this harmony within yourself, which will then reflect outwardly in your external world. It might take some time because the material world takes a little bit longer to manifest, but if you can hold your anchor, like I was saying, that alignment and being the eye of the storm, even though things look like they're maybe falling apart around you, or they're complete chaos, or they make no sense, or it feels like everything's falling apart and life is working against you, can you shift your perspective and see it as all that it's like molding you, it's shaping you, it's breaking, it's clearing a path. That tornado is fucking clearing a path, and then you're gonna walk right out of your eye of your storm, and you're gonna walk into your new earth, you know, like that's exactly it. And like being able to hold that alignment will help you to, you know, because there's this idea that, like, I was picking up on this energy of like, there's this idea that work is like burdensome. There's this idea that work is like, ugh, and work is dreadful, and we hate Mondays, and nobody wants to go to work, and work is awful. But it's like, work is not meant to be that way. If you're working and you don't feel joy, and you don't feel peace, and you don't feel excited, and you don't feel rejuvenated, and you don't feel refreshed after you're done working, if you don't feel lit, if you don't feel sexy as fuck after you're done working, then you're not in the right career path for you. Like, your work should really invigorate you. It should make you amped. It should make you lit. It should make you like woohoo, and it should make you have all sorts of vitality and so much, like, because you're living your mission. You're working from a place of generosity because you want to give to the world. And if more people live because they wanted to give to the world, imagine what this world would look like. Okay, so anyway, but it takes a while to get there because we've been conditioned, guys, for centuries, generations. This is deeply embedded into our minds that work is hard, that work, like, we have to bust our backs to earn a buck, you know. It's just like, this is the old way. No way, Jose, we're not doing this anymore. Especially for the children to come, like, no, it's time for new. We can earn lots of money and provide for ourselves and create so much stability with our inner child, with our feminine energy, like being deeply connected to our emotions. We can generate so much, because like I was saying, if we connect to our feminine energy, we can hold so much more. But so many of us are so limited. We think we only, like, we're so narrow. And just think of like narrow-mindedness, you know, like if you are so narrow, that's all you're going to be able to be filled is this narrow little tube. Think of it. But if you're like a big old well, you know, like think about how much more you could be filled. So if you want to receive more, you have to open up more. You have to expand your consciousness. You have to expand your mind. You have to expand your heart. You have to expand your energy field. And when you expand your energy field, that's when you can call in. But there's going to be this part where you're like pregnant with, like, when you're expanding your consciousness, you know, and you have all this space and it just feels like empty space and there's nothing to fill it with. But can you just be in that space and know that that's where, you know, all of life literally comes from. So even if it feels empty for a while, it's like, in its place something will be birthed, you know. And that's kind of what we're doing. Like, as we birth our new selves, we will birth a new earth. But a lot of people want the earth to be birthed first and then we be rebirthed, but it's more, in my opinion, it will be the other way around. Like, we will birth new us and we'll act in new ways, and as we act in new ways, we'll birth a new her. Like, we're gonna have to give life to her. She's giving life to us. Now we have to give life to her, and that's what I mean about giving. Like, giving more to the earth, giving more peace, giving more love, giving more. Like, I was picking up on like activists, and this was something that kind of reminded me of that, or like leaders or teachers. That's kind of the same. I don't know. I just get this energy of like, yeah, wanting to like give in order to, like. It's like as you give, you actually like fill your own cup because you want to give. Like, your inner child wants to give. Your inner child desires to give. And the masculine part of us desires to give. The feminine aspect of us receives and the masculine gives. So when we tap into this energy, like the masculine constantly wants to give, constantly wants to give, constantly wants to give. A lot of times that's what will happen with that, is that they give and give and give, but then they never allow themselves to receive, and they never go into their feminine energy and allow themselves to be receptive and allow themselves to meditate or to be still or to be quiet or to be in their childlike energy and to be playful and to, like, when you're playful and when you do the things that you love, that make you feel good, then you like rejuvenate your energy. And what a lot of men have been taught is to give and give and give and to go and go and go and do and do and do. And actually a lot of women have taken on this role as well, to be the overgivers, and they never slow down and allow themselves to receive. And what I mean by receive is that not necessarily you're going to receive tons of material things or physical objects. What you're going to receive is your divine guidance. You're going to receive that support spiritually, and as you do that, just like regenerate your cells, and it refreshes you, and it, you know, it almost acts as like a vacation. It acts as like this deep cleansing. When you connect to those things that bring you joy, they act as like a cleanser, and you like feel refreshed and you feel rejuvenated and you feel renewed. And then you can approach like your daily tasks and your work and your everyday life with much more ease, because you're connected to source, and mostly source is working through you, because source wants to give. And so if you're living for source and you're connecting to source each day by doing the things that connect you to source, by meditating, by doing yoga, by dancing, by making music, by doing your passions are your connection to God. So as you connect more to your passions, then you feel this complete endless supply from God, and you're like, then that just creates a lot of abundance, which is kind of like the Six of Pentacles in my opinion. Okay, and then this one fell out. Okay, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, this one fell out, and this is the healing, healed, healer. Healing energy surrounds you in this situation. So yeah, I was kind of feeling this energy as you begin to like, you know, heal yourself kind of, and do the things that make you feel good. Then, you know, you emanate a lot of healing energy, and then, you know, or a lot of you, maybe some of you are meant to be healers, and like, this is what like you want to give this like product, or you want to give this service, or you want to give something. You want to give something, or you want to create something. You want to birth something. Oh, I gotta take a drink because my throat chakra is a little wacko right now. Yeah, it just feels like this energy of wanting to heal, and like there's nothing wrong with healing or being a healer, but it's like you have to get to the point too where you get to this place where you're like I'm always growing and I'm always going to be healing, but also I can give this healing information as well. And then like know that you know, that you're, as you give that, like you're going to receive whatever you receive back, like it's going to be like tenfold. So it's like the intention you go about, like if you're giving from this place of like your soul, if you're giving from this place of like generosity and openness, like that just makes you a magnet for, it's like what I'm really drawn to on this card is the lightning bolt. It's like you have really powerful healing abilities. Like you have the ability to heal. You might have healing hands. You see his hands are holding crystals, and they're like being magnetized by the lightning bolt. So you might have like healing hands, or hands that are like, you might want to work with your hands in some capacity. There's also another angel on this card, so I like that, being able to feel supported, like I was saying. And then that makes you just feel more stable and balanced. So, and then underneath the deck was summer. So I like that because it's summer right now. It says everything that you're asking for becomes yours in the summertime. But this to me is always like, be a light in the dark. Like, be the sunshine right now. And that's kind of the inner child. Especially in the dark, because we did have winter, and that's the opposite of summer. So winter, very feminine energy. Summer, masculine energy. Alright, then I'm going to get one overall message. So the advice to me right now is just to focus on your own healing. It's like not your job to necessarily heal anyone. It's your job to really connect to your own, especially like in relationships, or with our children. We can get like a little obsessed or concerned with our own children. It's like, but if we focused more on our own healing and our own energy, we would, not be so attached to them, and we'd be more focused on our own power. But a lot of us, we give our power away by allowing people to dictate our emotions. So when we don't allow people to emotionally disturb us anymore, then people that want to suck off you like that maybe you've attracted like narcissistic people into your life that just drain you emotionally, like you'll stop attracting those kind of people. So you'll open up more to connections that rejuvenate you and fulfill you and make you feel like there's this more give and equal exchange. So as you just focus on your own, like giving to yourself. And okay, so overall message for us this week, Spirit. Oh, I love it. Okay, self-esteem, number 21. Love the sunflowers, and it says confidence, self-love, self-worth, and pride. Yes, I really like this card. So yeah, 3 again, because we got the 3 of Swords, so let's read this one. It's associated with the solar plexus chakra, which is our power center, and it's also connected to Archangel Chamuel, and he helps you with like romance and courage and bravery and like self-esteem, and also like body confidence and like your strength, like working on your core. And also there was one more thing, I don't remember, but anyway, this says, you are worthy, you are unique and powerful. Let the sun that you are shine through your actions and your being today. I love that. It is time to rise up and fully embrace the unique individual you came here to be. Follow your inner voice and feel great about being who you are, expressing yourself in simple, authentic ways. If we always seek to please others or fit in, our confidence and self-esteem will always rely upon their approval. It is time to take back your deep inner power and claim a sense of confidence in simply being you. Acknowledge your very best qualities, take pride in how you present yourself, and learn to love your imperfections as essential aspects of what makes you the uniquely divine individual that you are. This card is an invitation to discover who you are and the power within your true self. Immerse yourself in activities that increase your self-awareness and confidence, exactly like your joy, doing the things that make you happy. Take up a hobby or learn a new skill. Spend time among friends, which is totally 3 of Pentacles. Spend time among friends who see you in your highest light. So don't hang out around people that bring you down or make you feel bad about yourself. Like hang out with people that are going to build you up and bring you a sense of like peace and acceptance. Spend time in nature alone. Take fun risks. Yeah, I think I was saying that. Audition for a play, write a song, get your hair cut, write down what you are grateful for, what are you good at, and what you love about yourself. Spend time daily doing things that wake you up to the you that you really are deep inside. Ah, I love that. In a basic sense, we can build our self-esteem in simple ways by eating more nutritious foods, by exercising in ways that make us feel alive, and by honoring our need for rest and rejuvenation. Woo! As we expand our energy, like I was saying, and nourish ourselves, we naturally enhance the vibration and outward expression of our being. We find ourselves feeling more alive, more connected, and more excited to be exactly who we are. I love that. Let your self-confidence shine like the inner sun today. Take the risk to be and express who you really are, and watch the world around you celebrate. What a beautiful ending to this week. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it was healing for you. I'm sending you so much love. Take care. I'll be back next week.